Ready? Here we go.
Stop it.
When you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. When you're on the pot, give it all you got. When you're on, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. When you're on, hot, give it all you got. It stings when I pee. It burns when I poop. When I push real hard, things don't go that well. It stings.
All right. Well,
Nice fade out again.
yeah, we don't fade out right now. We're playing from the website. There's no fade down. I should probably just download this. Let's just do that right now while we're talking. All right. Well, hello, everyone that listens, which is, I think, just me, Alex, and Brad right now.
Yep. I'm filling in for Brad again.
Yep.
He's getting close to being done with planting. But
Yep. So, yeah, I was going to say, even when it comes back, you'll have to come on more often, for sure.
yeah,
For sure, dude.
it's definitely fun.
Yeah. It's a lot more fun than you think it'd be, isn't it?
Yes.
Like you'd think, oh, I don't really want to go in here and talk. I don't want to talk.
Yeah, I don't like talking to people, but I like
Then-
talking into microphones, apparently.
Yeah. I'll talk to anyone as long as I'm mic'd. Yeah. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like you would think that doing this would not be as much fun as it is, but it's just a blast. I mean, basically you end up you're talking like you would talk to your friends.
Yeah.
If you're just sitting around a campfire or back porch or something like that.
Yeah, and when you know them, it feels like you're part of the conversation, even when you're just listening.
Yep.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm curious how this will go when we actually get people we've never met. Like if they're going to be like, these guys are weirdos.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, I'm fine with that too. Don't get me wrong. I just think it'll be interesting. Because that's the thing with us. It's like, if Aaron listens to it or Colby or one of those guys, they'll listen and be like, this is good. I know exactly what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Other people are going to be like, who the crap is Aaron? Why are these guys talking about people by name?
Yeah.
Which I found out after watching a lot of podcasts now that I guess that's something you're not supposed to do.
Oh, name people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really care. Maybe if we get more than 10 views an episode, I'll start caring a little more on stuff like that because I don't want to have.
Yeah, I'll just have to go back and edit those.
Yeah. Go back. Yeah. If beep or beep listens to our.
Like the one where you were like, Isaac, who shall remain
Nameless. Yeah.
unnamed or what?
Yeah, whatever I said.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
It might help a little bit that there are multiple Isaacs that are mentioned on the show. So
Yeah, there are. And I don't say last names. Now, that's something I won't do. I'm not going to say last names.
I will. You say the first one, I'll say the last one.
Oh, that's funny. No, I mean, like, I feel like if strangers are listening to this, people probably don't want us naming their kids or their last names or like giving their address or
Yeah, I could see that.
because then you might have someone that's like, these guys aren't pro, I don't know, panda or something. Whatever. I can't think of anything good that wouldn't be inflammatory just to state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's inflammatory right now. We were just talking about this. How YouTube is starting to
Demonetize at least.
demonetize, which sounds like you're saying demonize, kind of.
Which I guess it could go along those lines too.
Yeah. Which really all they're doing is saying, all right, well, we're not going to put any of our ads on there.
Yep.
Which to me is an interesting. Oh, am I talking to this thing right? There we go. Which to me is an. Oh, yeah, that's a lot
Hey,
better.
you got a lot louder. Am I doing mine wrong? Hello? No, the same.
That's funny. Yeah, that's something too that gets me is like there's all these people freaking out because everyone's getting demonetized because they're basically stating the opinions that Google doesn't like. I mean, it's not necessarily some of them. It's they get a little extreme. Maybe they. I'm not for censorship on stuff like this at all, but everyone's getting mad. Oh, freedom of speech. It's like, well, you guys are going to a corporate site. These people own their servers. They don't have to put anything you do on this server. Though on the flip side, YouTube likes to say they're a open platform. So
Yeah, I guess I could. Yeah.
like,
At least don't advertise that you're open. At least
Yeah.
admit that there is a bias there.
just start saying, yeah, we're not going to do stuff we don't agree with.
Yeah.
Which I think if they do that, it's going to really screw them. Someone somewhere else will just be like, you know what, I'll make a better one, and they'll make it. And then people will start going there.
Yeah. I think there's been people asking for it, but from what I've read, like YouTube, I guess they hemorrhage money a lot with that stuff, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it enough.
Well, I was going to say, it's one of those deals where YouTube is so freaking big that
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to just knock them down. But at the same time, all it really takes is someone with a buttload of servers, and they'd be able to start it out and a small amount of funding, and next thing you know, they're within 2 years, they're probably almost as big as YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about the tech stuff, like just tech websites and any of that stuff. I mean, you can literally just almost rebuild the internet with not a whole lot of stuff. Everything's already there. I mean, just because someone doesn't want to host you doesn't mean you can't go make your own.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I was reading something today where I don't know why. I guess, was that YouTube stuff today when it came out?
I think it was yesterday.
That must be why it was in my feeds. But yeah, that I read a website somewhere where they were, you okay?
Yeah, I was adjusting a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, they were, I was reading a website where they were talking about, because they were talking about this, and someone was like, well, you could just start your own website. And they're like, well, there's people that have been deregistered on the internet for this. And it's like, well, the people that register websites are also privately owned or corporately owned. It's like, so they can do the same thing too. The thing is, I think that they believe they have too much power because of their size. Like, well, we're that big. Everyone goes to us for it, so we can control it. It's like, well, you can control it because you're big, easy to get to, and you're letting people do it right now.
Yeah. That's true.
As soon as you stop, someone's gonna find something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, YouTube saying that they're a open platform and then doing that stuff would be like if you put up a bulletin board somewhere and saying anyone can post anything on there you like, and then you see someone post something that you don't like, and you're like, well, I don't agree with that. That kind of that violates the terms of this board.
Yeah, the terms that either I just made up or have always been there, but everybody else is violating. But I don't like what you have, so I'm taking it down.
It's like when the kids are playing tag and just like they touch a random tree or something. It's like, you're it. It's like, no, I'm on base. It's like, no, base is a front porch. It's like, well, no, the tree's base now. I just changed that.
This is secondary base. This is second base.
Yeah. That's just funny. I don't know. I don't know. It's just really interesting. I enjoy reading stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, well, we sure will.
I've seen, I don't know, maybe you've heard of it, Gab AI.
No.
They're trying to be a competitor with like Twitter and I think they're actually trying to compete with YouTube itself too.
Well, if they stay open and free.
And that's their whole spiel that they've said. They want everybody, it's like, everybody's hosted, period, free.
What was that?
Like,
go ahead.
I'm trying to think, not free ideas, but, everything goes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No censorship. So,
which, I mean, there's some of that stuff that I am not like disapproving of, like
right. Well, like
YouTube,
illegal activity.
Right. Like there was like a guy that was a pedophile, like making videos on how to like find kids, and like they took that down. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. If it's hurting people or showing you how to hurt people, like stuff like that, yeah, take it down because that can actually cause physical harm to somebody but like mental. Okay. Come on.
Like direct harm. Like if you're teaching someone how to abduct children, then yes, you should take that down.
Yeah, and they should hunt you down because that's not right.
Yeah. Well, even like the sites where they're like all this super crazy lefty stuff where they're, I don't know, where they're doing like, they're telling people to go find these right-wing folks and like actually hurt them. Because everyone always thinks, whatever you say is okay. Freedom of speech protects you 100%. But technically speaking, there are certain speech, there's certain types of speech that are not protected. Like you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire.
Yeah.
If everyone runs and it makes a panic and someone gets trampled, you're liable.
Right.
Or inciting a riot, that's another one you can't do. Inciting to violence, that's another one you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, basically, as long as you're not encouraging other people to harm other people, like physically, you can flat out by freedom of speech, First Amendment stuff, you can flat out just tell people that, the most racist, the most bigoted, the most terrible things.
Right.
Perfectly legal.
Right.
Up until the point whenever you say because of their race, gender, belief, because of that, harm them. Once you hit that point, you're done.
Yeah.
So, wow, we got like deep, like right off the bat.
What's up with that? Where's your fart story or something?
Yeah.
But no, I guess still along with that, in Europe, have you seen any of that stuff?
No.
They just had some elections over there, and the leftist sides over there were pushing to hit with or throw milkshakes at the right-wing politicians. And so they were.
Oh, that's
and,
ridiculous.
They were getting hit with them, and people were like, isn't that considered assault?
Mm-hmm. Well,
And then they went to court and they said, no, throwing milkshakes isn't an assault or something like a judge ruled. I didn't.
That's funny. Well, that's the other thing too. Like in Canada, there was a guy, some guy said like, I think it was, I want to say that, I don't remember exactly. So if anyone's listening and look it up, just go look it up. You could probably find it pretty quick. Guy arrested for, I think it's like human rights violation or something like that in Canada. So Canada does not have a protected free speech.
Right.
And some guy said something along the lines of like transgenders or they're not whatever they change to or whatever they identify as, they're what they are biologically.
Mm-hmm.
And someone said that was hurtful to them. And so he actually, I don't know if he went to jail or not, but I know he got tried for human rights crimes.
Sheesh. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole freedom of speech thing that we got.
That's why our Bill of Rights is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not really any other countries on Earth that have as robust a Bill of Rights as we do.
They definitely put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm a big fan of everything in the Bill of Rights. 100%.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason. Works pretty good.
True.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think people like, that's the other thing too, is everyone just gets offended if you disagree. I mean, you could probably disagree on what the color of a room would be and someone would almost call it speech violence.
Well, like with that dress thing that happened a couple of years ago. Is it blue or is it gold? Weren't those the two colors of that dress?
I don't remember.
Do you remember seeing that?
No, I don't remember that at all.
I think it was on Facebook. But yeah, you'd look at the picture, and because of the lighting, it was hard to tell if it was gold or blue. I think those were the two colors. It's weird.
Pretty vast difference.
I know, but it's like, I'd look at it, and I think I said it was blue. Amber looked at it, and she's like, that's obviously gold. I'm like, are you serious?
I'm looking this up while you're talking about it.
Oh, yeah. And also, I wanted to put a disclaimer. If I bring up any facts, at least me, myself, and I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. I don't know how you would get a hold of me, but.
Just send it to the email address. I think we have one.
See, there it is.
Oh. So it actually is a gold dress. They just changed the lighting and it's blue in the other one.
Yes.
I get it. Because I was like, how in the world can you not tell the difference between the too. I get it.
Yeah.
One's lighted different. Actually, is one under a black light maybe? It's almost what it looks like.
I think it was a shadow. I don't think it was a special effect that they were trying to put on it.
So they took a picture.
Somebody took a picture of the dress and posted it, and then, people were like, "Oh, that's blue. No, that's gold." And yeah, is it blue and black or is it
gold
and white? Yeah.
I see. That is the dress.
Yeah. Well, and then see to the right, people thought the white was blue, and
well, I mean, it's like when you got a shadow. The darker it gets, the more. Oh, I see.
There's the original.
I get it. So if you lighten it up, it's white and gold. If you darken it down, because it's definitely got like brown or gold right there.
Yep.
But if you darken it some more, then the whole thing looks blue. Interesting.
Yeah.
That probably caused an internet riot for days.
It did. People were picking sides. If you think it's, blue and gold or whatever, you're not my friend. Don't talk to me. I don't think it was actually that bad.
I'm pretty sure.
Politics, but.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure if it got that bad, I said it was blue and someone's like, oh no, it's definitely white. We're not friends anymore. I would not lose any sleep.
Yeah. Oh, we're not friends anymore? I'm okay with that.
If that's what it takes, I'm glad I found out now. Oh, man. Oh, so I purchased some more chairs.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I went ahead and did it. I had a little extra money on the Amazon card, so I figured, I've been trying to figure out what to upgrade first because that mixer is going to be outlandish. And I may be getting the table real cheap. So
that'll be sweet.
So I thought, you know what? We'll probably have at least 3 people in here every now and then. We might as well have some chairs for them.
Yeah.
Because so the episode that we lost, me, Brad, and Alex were on here. Mm-hmm. And Brad actually brought a chair, so Alex would have something to sit on other than a folding chair.
Which I appreciate. Thank you, Brad.
So this will fix that because that's hauling a computer chair. That's just a pain.
Yeah.
Which, if I'd have thought ahead, I do have an extra computer chair upstairs. That thing is loud, though. It's that air piston in it.
Yeah.
Whenever you sit down, it's like, boop.
That probably wouldn't have been good.
Squeaks every time you move it. So probably better we use Brad's, but that's a hassle.
Yeah. But if he's bringing it down, then it's not really hard for you, right?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. That's how I'm going to start doing things. Like, I'm going to just go to people's houses and eat dinner and start telling people how much money I'm saving on my grocery bill.
Oh, yeah, by eating at their house.
Just be like, man, someone will say, oh, I went to the grocery store, man. It was $180 to get this week's groceries. I'd be like, I spent like $30. I'm just more thrifty than you, I guess. And it turns out that
thanks for the steak.
Yeah. We eating at your house this week or what? I've actually known people that were just about like that, where it's just not necessarily the eating thing, but if you're willing to pay, they're always willing to receive.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, if you want to pay for dinner sometime, I'll let you, but I'm going to pay you back, whether it's with cash or whether it's I buy it next time.
Right.
But there again, I don't mind, since everyone has to drive over here for the podcast, I don't mind feeding people.
Yeah, which I appreciate it. Good burgers tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
bacon.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, it's hard. Smoky.
It was good, though.
Yeah. I started using that chunk charcoal. That stuff's great.
Chunky charcoal. It tastes great.
Mm. Yeah. Well, no, it looks like sticks. It flat out looks like they took a big old hunk of a log. Some of them have little branches off of them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's charcoal.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I'll have to show you some later. It's pretty nice because the only bad thing is it smokes the food, which at first is good, but if you leave it on there too long, it smokes the food. So if it's on there too long, it's gonna taste pretty much like smoke.
So it smokes everything. Don't leave your cigarettes close to it. It'll smoke your cigarettes.
Won't even let you bum off of him. Just smokes them and goes. Never buys its own.
It'll smoke anything you put next to it.
Crack. Oh,
It'll smoke your beer if you give it a chance.
I wonder if that'd be good. Smoked beer.
I'm sure somebody's.
I'll guarantee you someone's done it.
Yeah, you just add smoke flavoring to beer.
I pour an entire bottle of liquid smoke in my beer. Oh, that'd be.
Isn't that what it is? Don't they? I forget. I remember reading how they made liquid smoke once. Isn't that they just like burn charcoal and then they capture the smoke like in a rag or something, and then they dampen the rag and squeeze the water out, and then it's something weird like that. It's like,
okay, we're gonna figure this out right now.
Make.
How is liquid smoke? How is it made? Okay, let's read it here. Liquid smoke really is made from smoke. Chips or sawdust from hardwood such as hickory or mesquite are burned at high temperatures, and particles of the smoke are collected in condensers. The resulting liquid is concentrated down to for a strong flavor.
Yeah, well, I mean, minus the rag.
I was like, you're spot on. The rag would be the condenser. That'd be like the poor man's condenser.
Yeah, that's what I do.
They probably have some $300,000 machine that captures it at a factory, but
I could just use an old T-shirt to do it.
Just use your beard. Just get really wet and let it smoke out and just wring all the goo out.
I would do that, except I hate the smell of, campfire smoke at least. That was something I was going to bring up. What are normal smells that you're around that you just can't stand, that you hate?
That's a hard one to...
Because like me, like when I'm by a campfire, I don't mind it. But the day after, like how it gets in your clothes, that makes me want to like throw up when I smell it. Like as soon as I get home and I can get to the shower after I've been at a campfire, I wash because I don't want that smell in my hair.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I can't think of anything. Of course, I think most people don't know what's weird about themselves like that. Like you don't think about it until someone's like, "That's weird." And you're like, "It is." Then you hear from multiple people, and you're like, "I guess it is weird. I don't know."
I guess the only other one, it's not a pleasant smell, but it's like mildew. I can't stand mildew.
Like hypersensitive.
I guess maybe that's what you'd call it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a good smell, and people really aren't a fan of it, but you're less of a fan of it, so to speak.
Like, I don't know, I feel like dish rags get that smell a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And if there's a dish rag just in the room that has that mildew smell, I can smell it. And it's, I've actually thrown them away before. I've been like, this one's.
You should go smell my washing machine right now. There's a wet rag in there. I'm waiting to wash.
No. And it's even worse when you touch it to like take it to the washing machine because then it's stuck on your hands.
So you'd be really mad if when you walked in, I just threw that in your beard.
Yeah, I might go home.
And
so I can shampoo my beard and get it all out.
I kind of miss having a beard, but at the same time, I don't. Because you've got to like care for them. You've got to.
Oh, yeah. Got to oil them.
You've got to oil them or condition them or both. I mean, you got to keep it, or else they just turn this big puff ball.
Yeah, I normally just oil. I don't use conditioner.
I used to always condition. That works too. I mean, it does about the same thing.
Yeah.
And then everything gets stuck in it. Like you said, I don't think we were on here, but we were in the kitchen. Were we on here?
I think when I'm talking about the egg.
Yeah, when you're saying you figured out how
was on the last one.
That's amazing to me. That was like always the worst because that's basically an all-day mess. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
You've got to shower to get that thing out.
It did take, I've had a beard, like, I guess, I don't know if you would say full-time, since...
part-time. It comes and goes.
For 5 years, because I stopped shaving after Willow was born.
Oh.
So, yeah, if either of my kids saw me with a shaved face, they wouldn't know what to do.
They wouldn't like it.
They've never seen me in person without a beard.
Man, I want to be there. Like, when the day finally comes where someone I don't know, gets...
It'd have to be a charity event or something that I would shave my face off.
Or someone is lighting like a plastic cup on fire and actually slings it and it sticks to your beard, and that's just kind of the end of things.
Yeah, that would be not so good too.
Like, I want to be there the day you're like, I'm going to shave this. It's like, you can't shave till tomorrow. Because, like I said, I had a beard for a while. And you remember my beard. It got decently long.
Yeah.
And,
Which I trim mine, but I don't go all the way down. Like
I had it for like a year.
Yeah.
And then I just got tired of it and just shaved it off one day. It was just like done. It is so weird. Like that first week. Because it's like, first off, you're so used to messing with a beard. Like I used to always do twiddle the handlebars on the mustache thing where you just kind of.
Yeah, I do the thinking, pulling off of down from my chin.
Mm-hmm.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. When you get rid of the beard, you'll still do that and you'll just miss. You're like, oh no.
Well, I've felt like that. Just like if my hair's longer and I get several inches cut off or whatever.
Where do you get your hair cut?
Elam.
Oh, in Shelbyville?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of going somewhere different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going there for a while now, but living in Sullivan.
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit.
That's a hard
drive.
That's hard to, and he closes at, 4 or 5?
I think it's 5, but you got to get there
at 4.
Well, I've gone when I worked in Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave early on Wednesdays, so I'd leave at 2:30, and sometimes I'd be there till after 4. But he has 2 barbers now. It's
right.
Him and another guy.
Yeah. Well, I've got to drive over there, so that's.
Well, it's also a long drive for you.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes from work.
Oh yeah.
45, 50 minutes. So I have to drive over there, get that done, and you can't go on a Saturday. That's when I have to go. Quite literally, you go in at 1, you get out at 2 or 3. Yeah. Easy. But, yeah. Well, the last time, you'll notice with what I've got now, he did not cut it right. So, usually I get the sides where they're flat up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And he left these, little peaks on the sides. He was watching the baseball game. And so he was paying way more attention to that than my hair, I think. But, he's always given a good haircut, though. That was the first bad one I've gotten from him. But bad haircut mixed with inconvenient, mixed with I've got to wait an hour before I even get my haircut. I think it's time to look.
Yeah. Well, I could see that.
I went to a, who's the barber guy that starts all those? Lockhart. I went to another one of his in Mount Zion, which is 20 minutes door to door. And that guy didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys, he had tattoos and piercings everywhere, and he had the rockabilly haircut going on. And I was like, I sure hope this guy doesn't think I'm wanting his haircut. Sure enough, he did. He thought that's what I wanted, was this shaved side, big, leave the top super duper long so you can slick it back. I'm like, no, I part it, man. Then he trimmed up the sides so I could part it, but it looks stupid. I was like, well, I'm not going back.
Well, that's a bummer.
That's finding a barber nowadays is hard. No one has, they kind of disappeared. The old guys used to go to them.
I feel like they're slowly coming back.
Yeah.
They're making a resurgence.
The only bad thing is they're very hipster, the ones that are coming back. So they're expensive haircuts with super long lines.
Yeah.
Of course, if you go to Elam's, you get to listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan for 3 hours. Rock and little sister.
No, I've always had a good experience there.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wait's a little long, but I think I've only been once since he's got the second barber, which the time I went in, he was open. There was one guy just finishing up, so.
Yeah, the new guy, I think he just graduated barber school.
Yeah, he's pretty new.
And he's really slow, which is fine. I'd probably be slow the first 6 months of what I was doing too.
I'm sure he's faster than I am.
Oh, he's not faster than me. He just does a better job.
True.
Just give everyone the basic
what,
training.
You want buzz cut?
Yeah. Can I get a part? Sure. I only do buzz cuts. Guess I should have said
Aren't you going to do the straight razor on the neck? You don't want that.
You just hear, ah!
Yeah, that's a lot of blood.
Yeah. So how do I make this blood stop again?
I don't know. I'm a barber, not a doctor.
Yeah.
That'll be $20.
Do you know why the barber poles are red and white?
Something about blood.
Mm-hmm. They used to.
They were because they were doctors also, weren't they?
I think they would do like patch up work type stuff. I don't know if they were doctors, but they also, when they started doing that, I forget when that barber pole came around. I mean, the internet is literally 3 feet away from me, so I guess I could look it up. But
Yeah, I guess we'll never know.
too far. But no, like they would wrap bloody rags around a pole, a white pole. And that was to let them know that you could get blood there, because they would do all that bloodletting stuff where it's like we're letting out the bad bloods.
Just the bad blood.
Yeah, that's what makes you sick is the bad blood. But let's look it up. Oh, so what were we gonna do tonight? Video games?
Video games. Yeah, I think. And then, yeah.
There we go. Here, I'll read this to you. Oh, interesting. So this is interesting. So let me read this. Okay. A barber pole is a type of sign used by
barbarians.
Yeah, by barbers to signify the place or shop where they perform their craft. The trade sign is, by tradition, dating back to the Middle Ages, a staff or pole with a helix of colored stripes. Okay, let's go down. Well, maybe if I can get it to go down. There we go. Use in barbering.
Oh, I like the next one.
Yeah, I saw that one too. Possibly as early as the later Roman Empire, and certainly continuing through the Renaissance into the industrialization, maybe even until the 1700s in some places. A barber surgeon, so you're right, also performed tooth extraction, cupping, leeches, bloodletting, enemas.
Shouldn't that be a brown one?
Yeah. I'd like a shave and an enema, please.
Same time.
Yeah. You got a timer, Doc?
I'm in a hurry.
Yeah. Okay, so, and amputations, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so there's, So yeah, they would do a bunch of stuff. I'll read the next one for you. Use in prostitution. In South Korea, barber poles are used both for actual barber shops and for brothels.
What? So there's no distinction between the two? I'm going to go get my hair cut. Nope, wrong shop.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm out.
I usually like a side part. Oh, I give you a side part.
Never mind.
Oh. Brothels disguised as barbers. That's even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Not only is it for, like, it's not like, oh, well, that's a big red building with red lights everywhere and a barber pole. Hookers.
Okay, so if you're ever in South Korea, don't go to a barber.
If a haircut costs more than $5, don't get it.
Yeah. I just stay away from barber shops and, well, obviously the brothels, if you can tell. Stay out of those for sure.
I would stay away from the barber shops, not the brothels.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, no, I was kidding.
I guess that's personal preference.
Well, you guys got the poll. Do you also give haircuts, or do I get one free? It's like buy two, get a free haircut or something.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Gross.
Oh. The world's tallest barber pole is in Forest Grove, Oregon, 72 feet, 22 meters. If you go by the meters. The meters.
I don't. Sorry.
I don't.
Nobody does.
No one in the entire world does. Everyone uses feet.
No one actually uses that stuff.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Uh,
No, okay, so video games. So we were going to talk about video games, past and present. And it started because I sent out a picture of Lolo. If anyone remembers The Adventures of Lolo, which was a fantastic puzzle game for regular Nintendo. And I'll have to turn on my dryer or something later so you can hear it end. I get it sounds just like the music on Lolo. It
Oh,
goes,
yeah?
it's like da, 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 da. And then I have to finish it. I'm like da, 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 da. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Man, there were so many. The video games when we were kids were so weird.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Even the games when we were in high school were weird.
I think the games in high school might have been weirder. There were some gems in there.
I will say they are more thought out weirdness for sure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, did you ever play the game Bad Dudes for regular Nintendo?
Is that the is that the one where it was like a super short story?
Yeah.
At the beginning?
The story was it just flashed up of like ninjas stealing the president, and it's like,
Yeah, okay.
bad guys have kidnapped the president, and then it pans to the two guys that you could play as, and it's just like, are you a bad enough dude to save the president?
Yeah.
End of story.
Now play.
Yeah. That was the thing, man. Back then, they had. I feel like the games were, they were simple, but they were designed to be fun longer. Like you just kept. You could play those things for a month, and you'd still be going and having fun.
You'd have to master them.
Yeah, it was all about the mastery. Now it's just how much fluff can we throw in there? Make sure we get Liam Neeson to do a voice or something like that. But yeah. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say the two that I liked the most were the weird games that stuck out the most were probably they were on PlayStation. I don't remember if it was PlayStation 2 or
It was 2.
okay. Well, it was Magic Pengel, which
that game.
if you are unfamiliar with that game, it's basically a glorified rock paper scissor. Like that's the whole fighting system in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like RPG, but rock paper scissor.
And you could, and the story was you had a Pengel, which is an angel that was a pen, which basically meant it was an angel with a ton of little paintbrush hairs all over it, like little tufts.
Yeah.
With colors on the end, so it had paint, and then you use them to paint living creatures into existence.
Yeah, and then you fought with those living creatures, kind of
Right.
like a Pokemon type thing.
It was like Pokemon meets rock, paper, scissors. But you could like add more color of different, like certain colors did like basically buffed your paper or your scissors or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you would just add a bunch of color and play your guy.
Yeah,
And because you got to draw your characters, they usually got lewd and crude pretty quick.
you could definitely use your imagination on those.
Oh yeah. We should I should see if my PlayStation 2 still works. Maybe we can play it.
Yeah. I mean, I had that game too, so
We could totally play it.
I think you got it because I had
I
it.
did totally get it because I played at your house or watched you play it. I don't remember which.
I forget. I think I saw it in a magazine.
Or you brought it over or something, and I was like, "This is fantastic.
Yeah.
I have to find it."
It was actually a really short game, but it was still pretty fun. It was.
Oh, what was? There's a few games like that. There was one where you were some kid that would go into a forest, capture creatures. I forget what that one was called. It was really hard, but it was like a Pokemon type. It was like almost like a Pokemon dungeon crawler or something like that. It was fun. I have to think of the name. And there's that Fairy Tale. Remember that one? Or
the PlayStation 3 one? Yeah.
My PlayStation
Folklore.
That's what
That
it
one.
was.
Yeah,
That game was fun too.
Yeah. I still have that. I played that a few months ago, actually.
I have it, but I don't have working PlayStation 3 right now because
No?
my old one just totally crapped out.
Well, you had the slim one too, didn't you?
Yeah, I had like one of the newer ones,
Yeah. I still have one of the original.
big old chunky ones.
Well, yeah, what happened with it? It was overheating. We sent it in and got it fixed it was like $80. That was a few years ago. And they just sent a brand new one, an old style brand new one.
That's funny. Yeah, they make emulators for that. I wonder if I could get it on here. Should definitely try.
I think that I think PlayStation 2 and up are
They're
still
hard.
pretty harder. They're still harder on your computer.
Well, that little thing up there will actually play PlayStation 2 and my Raspberry Pi system. It'll play PlayStation 2 and 64,
if you want to burn it up.
Yeah, as I say, but it's recommended not to, and not to play longer than certain amounts of time because it'll fry it.
Well, there's a instead of doing the like retro Pi for the Raspberry Pi, you can actually get Elder Scrolls 3 on there, Morrowind. And I mean, that's the only thing that's on there. But yeah, there's been a team reprogramming it into the
Why that
ARM.
game?
People still play it, apparently. People make mods for it. Actually, people have remade it in the newest, I think it was Skyrim.
Huh.
So they went and they redid.
Oh, that's so much work.
Oh, yeah. People have way too much free time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. When that game came out, it was amazing. And then as soon as Oblivion came out, we were like, for me personally, I was like, why did I ever like Morrowind?
It definitely had its quirks after.
No fast travel, man. That was killer.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You had like those. It was as big, if not bigger, than any of the other worlds. And
I think it was the biggest one.
Yeah, and there was no fast travel. You had to walk. You had to walk your happy patoot from one end to the other.
Yeah, I remember you'd always go into the.
Yeah,
you go in the console.
I'd go in the console and just warp myself. Also, it didn't have like a mission journal. They would tell you where to go, and then there was no waypoints. There's no nothing.
Yeah. So there was nothing on the map, like pointing you where you needed to go.
They would just go, go see Bob. He's the third house in this town. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you go to bed and wake up the next day, and you're like, well, what was I supposed to do again?
Yeah, which I think it has notes, but there's no markers.
And the notes were bad because I remember there's one, and I never could figure out what I was supposed to do.
One way up north in the middle of nowhere where you got to find that cave.
No, I had to go to someone's house in like one of the towns, and I never could figure out which house it was because they told me the time. Like I just rushed through the text, and then I realized they told me where it was, and I was like, oh, I'll just look in the notes. And I looked in the notes and was like, make sure to find the house. And I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah, the one I got stuck on was in the main story. It was somewhere. It was in the middle of nowhere, not in a town or anything. And of course, the door was like hidden on like the backside of a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was. I did finally find it after I don't know how long of searching.
That's funny.
But I pretty much quit after that.
And then you're just like, I'm done. This isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
I still like in the beginning of that game where the guy just falls out of the sky.
Oh, yeah.
And he was using like a jump potion or something like that, and flying or whatever it was.
You got some decent stuff off of that guy.
Yeah.
I kind of want to play it again, but then it's one of those where you go back to it. You're like, wow, this is horrible.
Yeah. That's the thing about those 3D games back then. Like that was one of the better looking ones at the time. But going back to like, I don't know.
Dream games.
Yeah, those games were just. I would rather go back to Super Nintendo than those games because the way it looks, it just hurts my head.
Yeah, Super Nintendo and Nintendo, those two, you go back to those games and they still look exactly the same. You go to the 3D, like earlier 3D model games, and the graphics look horrible. They're like, I thought they looked realistic before.
Oh,
but
yeah.
now they are blocky and clunky and...
Star Fox. You see that one you can actually still kind of do just because it's so, like it's straight up just polygons.
Yeah.
You can kind of get past it then. It looks like you're playing Super Hot or something like that.
Yeah.
But, the other game, I know what the other game was you were going to say.
Oh, yeah. Tulip.
So.
Did you find the song beforehand?
I looked. I couldn't find it.
Let's say Tulip intro song. Just Tulip intro will probably.
Yeah, let's see if I can find that real quick. What was the concept of that game again?
So the concept of the Tulip game is you're this boy, I'm guessing adolescent boy, I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was like junior high age.
Yeah, he has a crush on this girl in this town, and he wants to kiss her. But he needs to get experience in kissing before he can kiss her. So the whole concept of the game is he wants to kiss her, and that's what you're building up to. But to practice, he kisses every other character in the game.
Including telephone poles.
Yeah, like characters that aren't like really people. I think there's even a trash man at one point. There's a zombie in there. It's ridiculous.
I think I did find it.
Oh, sweet.
Let's hope it's the right one. No, I don't want to.
Relive Coachella?
No, I don't.
Yes.
Okay, here, I'm going to start over. I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit here.
Oh, it's music. I don't know if the birds are going to be... I don't know if we'll hear the birds or not. Yeah, at the very beginning of the game, there's, for whatever reason, some birds like flying across the screen, and they...
Now, don't look at the screen.
Okay. I'll block it.
Continue what you're saying.
Some birds come across the screen, and they do their bird sound, but it doesn't sound anything close to a bird. Like, if you hadn't seen a bird flying across the screen, you'd be like, what sound am I hearing? You wouldn't relate it to...
Let's see if you remember this one.
Oh, man. I'm not really familiar with the music, but I do remember playing that game. I didn't play it as much as you did.
The name of the band that did all of the music for this was the Tokyo Ska Orchestra. Oh, do you remember ska?
No. I may have been really into it when I was younger.
I kind of miss ska.
I believe my introduction to ska was, I think it was at U-Turn.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a music night where they were just showcasing all different bands. I think they were just playing them over the sound system. And they played 5 Iron Frenzy.
Oh, yeah.
And... yeah, I definitely loved them for quite a while.
Ska was just like happy music.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they played the Pants or the Pants Opera songs. And I'm pretty sure I laughed so hard I peed my pants a little. I was in junior high.
Welcome to Canada.
Yeah.
That one was actually, do you remember the show Boston Legal?
I never watched it, but yeah, it had
William Shatner.
Yeah.
Well, him and one of the other characters, they go to Canada, and the interlude as they're like panning over wherever they're staying with a helicopter or whatever to do the shot. The background music is 5 Iron Frenzy's "Welcome to Canada" or whatever the name of that song.
Oh,
was.
Canada. I think that was it.
Canada, oh, Canada, it's great.
Yeah, I definitely remember probably most of their songs.
Oh yeah. But yeah, the Incredible Crisis was a great game. You know, I can't imagine that there's not a way they could port these things over like pretty simply. I know that the whole like operating system and whatnot is different, but
yeah, I'm not really sure what goes on into that.
I think that they could put in $10,000 worth of work, put this thing out there on the PlayStation Network, and they get their money back in days. Because there's a lot of people like me that would just, they wouldn't even have to put it on their expense and put it on there for $5 or something. If I saw Incredible Crisis, Tulip, or Magic Pengel on there for $5, I'd buy all 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Incredible. Well, that was a PlayStation, so that one was older.
And that one, well, I remember Can't Stop Mr. Domino.
Oh, yeah.
You guys just never stopped moving. You had to like...
Pretty sure Tom and Brad had a demo of that.
Oh, yeah. They played the crud out of that game.
Yeah. I wasn't ever very good at it, but they really loved that game.
I was awful at it. Nobody can... If I remember right, that one had a good theme song. I'm trying to think what other good games were there back then. Like some of the weird ones. The weird ones were the fun ones.
I don't know. I think those 2 were my top 2 weird games that I had.
There it is.
Yeah. Something that was interesting about the Tulip one was it also, like, every game comes with its little book to describe, controls and everything.
Yeah, I remember the book to that
Tulip had a complete walkthrough telling you exactly how to do everything. So there was no character in there that you did not know what to do to kiss them.
That's hilarious to me. Like, we made this game for you to beat, but if you don't really want to, just do this.
Well, because you'd have to do random things to get it to where that character would be like, okay, it's acceptable to kiss you now.
Here's the thing. That was 100% a Japanese game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, actually, all of these games we're talking about were 100%. They were Japanese games.
Do you remember on Magic Pengel, the signs?
No.
It was supposed to say, like, fresh produce or fresh food, but the R didn't translate, so they were all flesh.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
Not at all.
So, where it was supposed to say fresh, it was all flesh.
Flesh produce.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Oh, that was fantastic. But that was the thing. So here's the question on Tulip with a full walkthrough on it. Do you think that was in the Japanese version, or do you think that when they got to America, they're like, there's no way these people are going to get this? We're going to have to give them a walkthrough.
I don't know, because I don't think in the game it really told you. It just basically said, go kiss everybody. So you kind of had to use the walkthrough to even know what to do. I don't know.
It would be interesting to know, though.
Yeah.
I bet it was in theirs. We need to find someone from Japan that had that game.
Yeah, I'm sure I have it. I'm pretty sure my PS2 still works, too, so.
I should bring it over and play it.
I'll introduce my kids to that game someday.
100%. I'm on board with that. We can introduce all the kids to that. Here we go.
No, they'll start kissing everybody.
Look what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, memory cards.
I forgot about it.
I totally forgot memory cards.
Yep, blocks of memory. It wasn't even how much the space was. It was a block of memory. It wasn't like megabytes.
Yeah, not like a hard drive where it's like, you have 2.6 gigs left. Yeah. And then you'd end up like, you'd always have to clear things out. And I'd always get the big ones that you had like the selector switch. That you
button, where you could go to different pages. And then they'd get corrupted. And then,
they corrupted all the time.
Yeah, that was always the worst.
I definitely got a Dex drive at one point. You remember those?
No.
So, well, it was before USB, so it was a serial plug to the back of the computer. And you'd plug in the... Oh, I forgot the music. I recognize it instantly.
I recognize the sounds for sure.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about putting the dominoes down.
That's the whole point of the game.
I totally forgot, though.
I mean, you got to dodge stuff, but yeah, you got to...
Oh, he reset. Poor guy. Anyway, yeah. And I had a Dex drive, and basically what it did was it plugged into the computer. You plugged the card in, then you told it to find it because it wasn't. It was plug and play, but like it wasn't just like you put it in, it powered it, knew what's going on. You had to like plug it in, then like open the thing to tell it to now talk to it, and then you could drag all your stuff onto your hard drive on your computer.
Really? No,
it's like $100 though. I spent a lot of money on that.
Yeah, I don't remember you having that. I feel like I would have.
I had it for PlayStation, and I don't think it worked on PlayStation 2.
Well, maybe that's why I don't remember, because I came around.
Yeah, you came around.
We started
after.
hanging out during PlayStation 2 era.
Now that's one you weren't there for. I should look and see if I still have it. Where I had
Top Shop?
Fighter Maker.
No, yes.
Did I ever show you those?
Yes.
Basically, it's a Street Fighter versus game where you can make your own. You don't get to make the character. There's only like a certain number of characters, and you just take a character, you set it down, and then you make all their animations. You make where the hit comes from. You add all the sound effects, and you made the whole animation. You you'd animate a frame, and then you'd animate the next, and it would like fill in the frames for it because you'd have your arm here. You'd have your arm to the back, and then you'd put the arm all the way forward. It would automatically make them punch. And usually you made obscene things with it.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in any of the making process. You'd already gone through and made everything. And if I remember right, that game took up a lot of space.
It was like a whole memory card.
Yeah. But you definitely showed me all the moves after you'd made them because you were like, dude, you got to see this. And yeah, they were hilarious. I think my favorite ones were where it looked like your opponent was beating the crap out of you, and then it would like almost kill them.
Yeah, you could
You do what did your guys do? He'd do a backflip, land on his stomach. The other guy
like,
would
totally miss the backflip and just land on his gut.
so like flat on his face. The other guy would come over, stomp on his back, and then flail his arms around in the air.
And it hurt the guy doing the
Yeah.
stomping.
And it was like took over half his life away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that game was... I feel like that game was near impossible to make anything good with. Because it was like... It was so hard to tinker with how much health was coming off. It was so hard to get, like, the animations right. So you'd start out trying to make something that looked good, and it just... When you'd get done with the move, you'd spend like an hour making a move. You get done and you use it, and it would just look like butt. And so then you're like, well, I guess I'm just going to make a whole bunch of stupid moves now.
Oh yeah, they were great.
Oh,
I definitely had forgotten about that game.
oh, it was so good, though.
That was a good one.
Underrated for sure.
Mhm.
I think I sold that game to someone, actually.
Did you? That's a shame.
Yeah, I kind of wish I still had it, but at the time someone offered, like, it was after PlayStation 2 came out, and they're like, I'll give you $60 for it. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
heck yeah, here you go. Probably worth $200 now, but
Yeah.
there again, I have a real job. If I really wanted, I could pay $200 for it,
Yeah.
though I don't want it that bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay that much for it.
Though, like I said, now that I'm talking about it, I kind of want to try to get some sort of emulation for the
Yeah,
computer.
you might be able to. I think PlayStation is.
I'm sure this thing could swing a PlayStation easy.
Does it have arms or something?
Oh, funny man with the jokes. No, yeah,
Is
that
that
would,
an add-on that I'm unaware of?
yeah. Well, I take them off because it just sits there and does this the whole time.
Flailing
It's real-
arms.
Yeah, and just real distracting. Arms just flail everywhere. Looks like a guy falling off a building. That's what they need to do with the new Macs. They need to put like flailing arms and like little eyes that move around.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're unaware
Oh,
somehow of the new Apple stuff that's come out, they're quite pricey, and I don't know how somebody could justify buying the high end. What did you say it was? So like,
Okay, so the pricing on the whole thing was the new iMac or the new Mac Pro or whatever they call it that looks like the cheese grater. It starts out at $5,000, and that's like the base model.
which is pretty high, I would say, for a computer.
I mean,
that should be a pretty nice computer, but
it's still pretty heavy duty, but then it goes all the way up to $12,000.
yeah, I could.
12,000. I mean, that's 120 $100 bills. I mean, that's obscene. So,
That's a year's worth of pay for me.
are you a teacher? Anyway, so the computer is between $5,000 and $12,000. The monitor is $5,000. Though it is a 32-inch monitor. So that's a big boy monitor. This thing is 27. So it's got some size on this guy.
I could buy a 60-inch TV.
Oh, you could buy
Actually, I could probably buy. Well, they have like 85-inch TVs for less than that.
a 65-inch.
Not that I'd want to do my work on that big of a
Yeah.
monitor or screen.
Oh, that'd be awful.
Yeah.
But you could buy a nice 65-inch 4K TV like mine, probably now. I would say for 50, you could probably buy, for $5,000, you could probably buy 6 of them.
That's absurd.
But yeah, that
And then the stand was also.
oh, the stand for the 5,000. So it blows my mind. The monitor does not come with any way to stand it up. So it's not like it comes with a base. It's not like it comes with a wall mount. In fact, if you want to put it on a stand that like a regular desk stand like everyone else would be using, or like let's say you're upgrading from a whatever you're using now, to buy that bracket just so it hooks on the little stupid doodad on the back, just that adapter is $100. And then if you actually want your monitor to have a stand like every other monitor in the history of computers so far, you will have to pay $1,000 for the stand.
Yeah, that's a little. You okay over there?
There's your fart joke for the night. Oh, I don't feel good now.
Do we need to cut for a break?
We may. So yesterday for lunch, I had jalapeno jalapeno cheddar bratwurst.
Oh, there we go.
For dinner, I had hot dogs and hamburgers. Today, for lunch, I had more jalapeno cheddar brats. And for dinner, I had more hamburgers.
Wow.
I am meat bloated now.
That's going to smell good then, isn't it?
Oh, protein.
So I guess if we want to go into fart stuff, I remembered a story from boot camp.
Well, that sounds like a good fart story.
Yeah. So I don't know, we'll have to do a expose on my armpit farts since that episode may not make it.
Yeah. I'm hoping, I think yours and my vocals were
our
there,
audio was there.
So I'm hoping Brad can at least salvage the armpit farts.
Yeah.
I still like the idea of like sampling your armpit farts and trying to get you to get them on key so we can make an entire keyboard of armpit farts.
I'm all for it.
That'd be rough to actually hit the note. That's going to take some takes. It's going to require multiple takes. Let's say that sounds a little less redundant. Anyway, yes.
So anyway, if you're unaware, I have apparently an uncanny ability to make realistic sounding armpit farts.
Yeah,
So,
throw one out real quick.
right.
You can do them on command.
Yeah. I guess I could throw a couple out there for you.
These are 100% not mouth or butt. These are armpit. Oh. Oh, that ending. Man, we need to get next time bringing a bucket of water down so you can get your hand wet too.
Yeah. That helps. Makes them sound wet, that's for sure. So anyway, keep that in mind. I have that talent.
So where I can turn anything into a poorly worded, gross, obnoxious statement. That's my superpower. Alex's superpower is any fart you can possibly imagine can be reproduced with his armpit.
Yeah. Just give me some time if I haven't ever done it before. But yeah, I can simulate pretty much all of them.
Yeah, it's an uncanny amount.
So anyway, at boot camp, the place where you sleep, the bunk, I mean, it's just an open bay area. So there's, if I remember right, there was 80 of us, recruits or whatever.
It's a lot of dudes.
Yeah. So at night, we're all supposed to be going to sleep. And I had a challenge from my one of my dad's friends before I went to boot camp. He's like, he knew I had that ability. He's like, you got to rip some armpit farts. He's like, just wait till night, rip some farts, and then it'll be worth it. Just do it. So one night I was, I guess, brave enough, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to crack some out and see what happens. So I ripped some off, and, I got some, I guess, feedback. Some people were like, oh, man, that's so bad. And some people just embellish so much. Like, oh, it reeks. And it's like, it's an armpit fart. I know it doesn't smell.
I love that because I've heard that happen when I'm around and you do those. I'll be like, man, that smells bad.
Yeah. So that's always funny because it's like, you're lying because that's my armpit. Yeah. So anyway, I do a few of those and some other people try to come up as competition and, they're, trying to basically crap their pants, keeping up with me. And then from my bunk was about center from the far corner from where I was, I heard somebody, he ripped the loudest fart, one of the loudest farts I never heard, and I had to stop after that because it was. I don't know. I feared for his health at that point and the people around him.
Boy, that don't sound right.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, mine are like I can make mine sound pretty nasty, and I was like, that one sounded like he needs to go take a shower now.
Need to wipe, buddy?
Yeah. So,
oh.
Yeah, I've definitely had some fun with that talent.
It's funny. I feel like there's certain careers where, like, you have specific stories that are fantastic. Like, if you work retail, you're going to have some of the world's best, like, customer stories, especially if you work in, like, a drugstore. There's so many weirdos that go into a drugstore. But like, you've got that. I feel like when you were in construction, you had some good ones, some just like weird ones. Then me being a janitor, I have some awful ones. Maybe one day we'll do a special and I'll just talk about my nastiest stories.
Yeah, some of those are pretty awful. Yeah.
I was going to say, unless you're a janitor, unless you have been a janitor, they're probably going to gross you out because they are just nasty. Like, you get the ones that gross out janitors and you're just like, yeah, it's that bad.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty bad if it's grossing them out.
I mean, if your job is mopping up other people's feces, it's pretty much nothing's going to get you. Oh. Should I mute my microphone? I think another one's coming.
Well, I don't mind. So, I mean, first one didn't hit me, so.
Oh. Oh, it's ridiculous. We're children. Like 100%, we are children.
Yeah, some things you just don't grow out of.
Yeah.
Like picking your nose. You still do it. Don't lie.
Did I ever tell you about the time I was in high school and a bunch of the guys there, they had this saying that they thought was funny because it was gross. And they just say, oh, reach back, grab a snack. I mean, it's just high school boys. It's just gross. And I always thought it was kind of dumb. And so, like, they would always say it, like, oh, at least 3 or 4 times a day. And so one day I decided I was going to get them with it. And so I got a Ziploc bag. I filled it up with that liquid apple caramel.
Oh.
I stuck it in my back pocket. And then when they said, reach back, grab a snack, I went, don't mind if I do. Reached back there, put my hand in it, pulled it out. And it was like caramels dripping down everywhere and just started eating it on my hand.
Okay.
Yeah. It was funny because they all just kind of stopped. And it was funny after that. I don't remember hearing that after that day.
Yeah, that definitely, that stopped it.
P.S. I just peaked on that laugh. Yeah, that was. Oh man, kids are gross.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, and high school boys are disgusting too. It's like they're on like junior high and grade school. They're gross because they if they fart all the time, they smell bad. They're always talking about poop.
Oh yeah.
And it's like high school boys. It's like they kind of graduate from that, but they don't really. They just keep that going and just add more like boob jokes and stuff to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like they're gross and dirty at the same time. So you're just like, you're the worst kind of people. Of course, we were all those kind of boys anyway. Right. So,
well, I don't know. One of my observations is I've been around teenagers, and
yeah, you do a youth group still, don't you?
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like I wonder if I was the same way when I was their age. Like, I feel like you tell them something and they'll look at you and it's like they're not hearing you at all.
Yeah, we were that way.
And I'm like, wow, I must have been horrible to deal with because this is awful. I mean, I don't have any teenage children yet, so I can only imagine.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's like, were we all? Because Amber's had the same thought. It's like, it's not just one or two.
It's all of them.
It's all of them.
I will say, having to deal with people who are kind of on that level now, I will say that we probably were that way, but not as bad.
Mm.
Like, I feel like the kids now, because so I think that people like the generation or two before us. I was thinking about this on the way to work today, actually. Like the generation or two before us, they had, like my mom's generation, when they were in high school, they had fads. But I mean, they're like pet rocks or something like that. And there was nothing.
Now it's Tide Pods.
Yeah, gosh. Well, and like they had a couple of fashion changes,
Yeah.
but overall it was pretty stable.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was done with high school, I had gone through the 80s, early 90s. So there's two different fashion changes to like hanging out with some friends that liked rap. So then there was that fashion change to going to like a wife beater and a Hawaiian shirt with a baggy wide leg jeans and wallet chains, and then going to like baggy jeans and like spiky hair. It's like you went from like the 80s into like the 90s into gangster rap into like punk rock, and then into like a different phase of punk rock. Well, I mean, think about it. Think about Pogs. How long did those last? Not long.
They didn't last long at all, and I had a ton of them.
I mean, you had Pogs, you had Skip-Its, you had Micro Machines, Hot Wheels, that stuff lasted. Turtles lasted. But you had all this stuff that was just constant.
They lasted as long as you fed them.
Ah.
At least mine did.
But no, I mean, like we had things, they marketed to us a lot more than they did the previous generation. So we had kind of an ADD from the way I remember it and the way I'm, looking back at it. I think we had a lot of ADD due to like
Things changing around us so much.
Yeah, I mean, things were changing so much. There was so much information coming in that, I mean, shows changed out every year. I mean,
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, you look at kids today, and they switch between things so fast. Like they don't even watch a full show. They'll go to the next thing before it's even done.
Yep. And so like where ours, every year or two, the whole cartoon lineup for Saturday morning would change, or the whole cartoon lineup for after you got home from school would change and be all new shows. And that was enough to make us ADD. These kids are having an iPad, a phone, and a TV all with different shows, and they're watching them all at the same time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you'd think, okay, well, they're ADD, but they're able to multitask better. Incorrect.
No.
Like so my new boss, he has this little cube, one of those fidget cubes. It's got the switch and like a little thing that you can spin.
Yeah.
And every time I go in there, I can't help myself. I got to sit there and play with that thing. And I've noticed as I play with it, I actually pay attention better. And it's like that little itch in the back of your brain that has to do something different all the time.
Yeah.
Just sitting there flipping different things kind of scratches that itch, so you can kind of.
I normally do the leg bounce thing. I can't really fidget with stuff when I'm trying to type, but
Right. Well, yeah, if you're a programmer.
I'll fidget, and then hopefully my coworkers aren't too close, or I'll kick them in the legs. And
Just start using a fidget spinner with your feet. Take your shoes off, use your toes.
yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I'll just wear sandals to work tomorrow, and
Don't wash your feet, get nice and stinky, and then sit down, just put your foot up on the table and stretch your toes out. Ooh, that feels good.
start typing with my toes.
Yeah.
What?
Do the Futurama where you're eating chips with your toes.
Yeah.
I love that. They're eating chips with their toes, or Fry does, and Leela's like, that's disgusting. It's like, what? You double dipped. And then she does it too, and just single dips.
Yeah. Great show.
That was a fantastic show.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, I think especially the boys, I don't think we're wired to be real great at paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Well, we talked about this before. Where, I mean, at least us, we didn't think. I'm trying to. So, like, we just didn't grasp what all was going on around us while we were in high school, and I feel like I don't know, maybe my brain took longer to develop than other kids around me.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I didn't even have a desire to really learn anything until I was in my 20s.
Right. Well, I think we were on that weird cusp where, like, our parents' generation, they learned it because if they didn't, they got whooped, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't get that. But then now the kids, they're starting to do things like that Montessori school where they're learning that.
Yeah.
Like the first couple of years, they're not even really teaching them much. They're just teaching them how to actually learn. And they're putting them in groups so that they can see how other kids learn and they can kind of figure it out together. And actually it's shown that they're a little behind at the end of the first couple of years when they're doing that. And then they're way ahead like 2 years later.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't looked into the Montessori schools, I think the closest one around us is in Decatur.
Yeah.
But they only go up to age 5. And it's, they're pretty interesting, or quite pricey. But if you actually see the curriculum and what they do, you could understand pretty quickly why it works so well. Like they'll have, so like I said, they're under 5 and they'll be like cooking, like food. They'll grind coffee and make you a cup of coffee if you're a visitor. Like this is, 5 and younger. Goes, grabs coffee beans, grinds the coffee beans, boils the water.
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to say.
And then they clean up their whole mess. They do it all on their own. No, I mean, there's an adult there, but they're not helping them.
Well, and I know, like, a guy at work, he sends his kids to the Montessori in Decatur. And he was telling me about how they do it. And, like, where the kids would be learning, like, I don't know, like, instead of sitting at a desk and learning, they would be just sitting in a group and they all kind of get to help each other learn type of deal. Like, it's okay to talk a little bit as long as it's not disruptive. You kind of interact. And really, it's all about just not being ashamed to not know what you're talking about, and then observing the kids that get it, and then letting the kid that gets it help you get it.
Right.
And by the end of it, like, because that's the thing. Well, I was thinking about that too, because I mean, we were. I know for me myself, I was a very late bloomer. Like I barely made it out of college, and then got a job and just kind of floated. I mean, I worked hard and got a lot of stuff done off the beginning, but I wasn't really driven to do better. I was just like, I was driven to do good because I wanted to, people to know I was doing a good job. I wanted to feel like I was accomplishing something, but I wasn't driven to like go past that and learn more and grow what I was doing. And now I'm kind of doing that because, I don't know. You figure out that it's not about getting to the end. It's about the challenge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not, I'm going to go to school so I can get a degree and I'll know what I'm talking about. It's like, I'm going to go to school because I want to get challenged and I want to see what I can do. Right. It's a test for you, not necessarily a means to an end.
Yeah.
I think that's what's changed with me on some of that stuff. And I was thinking about that. If I would have had that mentality in high school, I'd probably be a freaking rocket scientist by now.
Yeah, I mean, it's as we've gotten older. I feel like, well, you realize taking shortcuts and doing that stuff is actually just cheating yourself in the long run. Like, take working out, for example. Like, you cut those last few reps out. Okay, who really cares that you cut those reps out? Nobody else is going to care except you. Mm-hmm. So, if you cut out on your workout, the only person that's going to suffer is you because nobody else is going to care. Unless you have somebody, a trainer in your face yelling at you to do it.
And if you repeatedly don't do it, they don't care anymore either.
Yeah.
They'll just be like, all right, fine, we just won't do it.
I don't know. That's how I feel with stuff. I mean, even things I don't want to do. It's like, I might as well just go ahead and get it done. because I need to do it. And if I don't do it, I'll have to do it later anyway, and it'll probably be worse if I wait till later.
Procrastination is the thief of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's interesting. And I feel like that wasn't driven into our heads as much.
Mm-mm.
Like I feel with my parents, it was more of, work hard, do a good job because that's what you're supposed to do, which is true.
Yeah.
But I think I wish they would have encouraged me more to do it for the goal. Be like, look, do this because you're supposed to, but also you'll feel fulfilled once you get done with something. Well, like this room. I didn't figure this would be that big a deal, and I started working, and by the time I got done, I was like, man, I accomplished something, and I felt like $1 million. And that was one of the things that lately has really driven me to start doing that. Because once I did this thing, I was like, man, I did something.
Uh-huh.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it always helps when you have something to show for it too.
That's like with this podcast.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing this. And then when you get done, you're like, wow, that was actually good.
Yeah. At least I think it was good.
Well, my own head.
Yeah, your opinion doesn't matter. Mine does, though.
There you go.
That should be everybody's philosophy.
Yeah.
Not really.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think.
To an extent, maybe. But.
Well, and the other thing, too. So going through the whole divorce thing, that's shown me, too, that we do a lot of things that we sacrifice for others and never take care of ourselves. Which, don't get me wrong, you have that person that's like, I got to take care of me. That stuff's not.
Yeah.
That's not.
You
productive.
also have to take care of other people. It can't always be about you, but you got to remember yourself.
Well, the way I see it is like think of it like this. You're feeding your kids really good food. You're spending lots of money to feed them good food. And then what you have for dinner is saltines. And it's like, yeah, they're going to be healthy, but you're not. And then you're going to get sick, and then you're not going to be able to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of people forget to take care of themselves. It feels selfish. I mean, it does. It feels flat out selfish.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not. It gets selfish when other people start suffering. But there's a certain level that they can suffer, and it's okay.
Yeah. Like, oh, you got to take one night away. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Like if you're married and like you quite literally never get to do anything you want. So like, let's say, you come home from work, you sit down, you got to do stuff around the house. Your Saturdays are totally booked. If you're both doing that, maybe there's something that's going on. You guys just can't get away. That's understandable. But then if your wife is going out and like every Friday hanging out with her friends, that means there's enough room. So at least every other Friday, you guys can switch. I mean,
yeah.
You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
People forget that they are important too. Now, like I said, there's an entirely opposite or entirely similar but opposite.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not wording this well.
It could be too much at a point.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can definitely get to the point where you're like, well, it's the me show.
Yeah, which isn't healthy for, anybody.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of why that you kind of get that way, is because I feel like that's just as, if not worse, than the other way. Because I think in a way you're hurting yourself in that way, but you're also hurting a bunch of other people around you. At least the other one, you're just hurting yourself.
Yeah.
But just take care of everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone, including yourself.
I think with some people, they get to the point where they haven't taken care of themselves.
They forget how.
Well, or then they finally do, and then they go, all the way to the other side, and then it's only about them.
It's like, that's like the super good kids who go to college and someone talks them into drinking. And next thing you know, they drink every single day, copious amounts, and then they're doing drugs, and then they're, it just kind of like goes down in spiral because they don't even know how to control it.
Yeah.
But moderation, though. Moderation is the key to life. So, but yeah, well, we're already an hour and a half in. That's fantastic. You know, I've been watching a lot more podcasts, and I'm pretty sure we're the only ones that almost every show are like, oh, it's hour and a half. Oh, it's hour 45.
Where we state what time it is. Well, they probably don't do that because they probably do cuts, and people listening be like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, and I think, either they have a specific amount, so there's cuts and there's longer commercials, and like they fix it, or the show goes between 2.5 and 3.5 hours, and they don't really care. So it's just like, let's just go.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, well, I had a thought.
Yeah.
It totally went away, but I had one.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something.
I was.
Let's see. I took some notes. Let's see. We already went over the weird smells. Apparently you don't have any.
I mean.
I got another, I guess it's along the lines of poop, farting stuff.
Well, I was going to say, weird smells. I was a janitor for years, but there's certain types of baby poop that just about put me over the edge.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, some of that baby poop is pretty bad.
Like when they're little, some of the just when it's green or something like that, and that green smell.
That smells green.
If you talk to a parent who's had more than one kid and you say it smells like green baby poop, they'll be like, yep, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. But so something that I remembered that I wanted to bring up was, so I'm trying to think. It was within the last year. No, it was 2 years. I think it was about 2 years ago. My brother my mom and dad, my brother, and his son and his fiance went to Florida. And while they were down there, they wanted to get some nice sunset pictures while they were on the beach, which, it's...
I see where this is going already. I love it.
Which, that's all fine and dandy. I've done that multiple times. So I think it was the last night that they were there. They finally got dressed up. It was just my brother, his fiance, and then their son. They wanted to get nice pictures on the beach. Which, when they went down there, right when they got to the beach, my brother's like, oh, I gotta poop. But the problem is, these are sunset pictures, and it's the last night. So he didn't have enough time to go back to the room to, unload and then come back and still get pictures. So he suffered through the pictures. Which
was it visible in the pictures?
Yes, it was very visible in the pictures that he was quite uncomfortable. I'll have to see if I can get a hold of some of those pictures.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
It's just that you can tell he's doing all he can to hold it in. And so none of the pictures, I don't think any of the pictures turned out well because he was having that much of a struggle.
Why is your brother in distress?
I mean, if you know and you see his face, you're like, oh yeah, he's struggling right there.
Oh, that's...
I wasn't there for it, but just looking at the pictures.
It sounds amazing.
Great.
Ugh. What the heck is... Oh. I was stuck in the piano. Brought it down. Yeah, I keep losing my train of thought, man. I think I'm just tired. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
How's your week gone? It's been pretty long.
Yeah, I had a presentation today, so.
Oh, how'd that go?
It wasn't. I'm pretty sure I forgot some of the details. How it was a PowerPoint. I presented. I was able to hit all the points that were on the slides. But then I remembered after I sat down, it's all recorded, so I'll have to go back and listen.
Are we going to play it on here?
No.
It's probably
you would all be bored unless you all want to learn about Git. Then I don't
get it done.
Yeah, well, the name of it was Get Good, so
That's funny.
yeah, I named it a push for a course in learning Git.
That's funny.
Which, if you're unfamiliar with Git, there's a nice little, I guess, dad joke in there. Push is a function, or it's a command that you use in that a lot. But anyway, yeah, pretty sure I forgot some information. Like, did a dry run with mentors the day before, and I think mine went pretty well. And then today, I dropped some of my material in my brain.
Well, it's all gone.
I sat down and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure I missed like almost a full, not a whole segment, but there's a huge hole that I left out there, which the mentors were in there again. So I'm sure they were like, you kind of missed a part. But
just one's in the back. You bomb!
No, they still said I did good, but I don't know if they were just being nice. So.
Did they look down to the left? You did good.
Yeah, they didn't make eye contact.
I can't look at you right now. You did a great job, but just go back to your desk.
Yeah, so that was a little stressful, but I mean, I don't know. It's weird getting older and doing public speaking because I'm finally at the point where it's like, well, there was 3 of us presenting and there was no given order. And so I was like, does anybody want to go first? And they're like, well, I guess I could go first. I was like, well, if you guys don't have a preference, I would rather go first and just get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, they do this, it's a lunch and learn, which I think is a little kind of a sick, joke. Because it's like, oh, here, you're going to present. But before you present, here's your food. It's like, well, I can't eat after. Nope, you got to eat before. Like, I really don't have much of an appetite.
They feed you something and you're up there just tooting and
hurl it all
burping the whole time.
And so, it was Italian beef, so.
Ugh. Get up there and then stop and be like, woo, you can smell them peppers, can't you?
Spicy. Whew.
Bird's going down and coming out. Gosh dang. Everyone out there is just like mortified. See, that's how you get out of presentations. You do that a few times and they're like, we can't trust him to give presentations anymore.
Yeah, I was putting out so much heat, it was starting to distort the screen.
Who's got a thermal camera? Let's see how these things turn out.
But no, I was happy to get that over with today. I don't know if I have more. I know in the future, it's definitely a possibility depending on what goes on. But
yeah, I remember when I interviewed there were they had some off the wall questions, but
which by the way, I'm pretty sure that guy's gone.
Anyway, there's one of them where they're like, you may be. It's like, we have shareholder meetings and you may be required to speak at these. Can you do that? I'm like, yeah. Like, there might be like 200 or 300 people up there. Can you do that? I was like, as long as I know what I'm talking about, yeah. They're like, what happens if it's like last minute and you have to go up there and speak and you don't have any notes, you just got to wing it? I was like, then yes, I'm going to have problems. It's like, no one should do well in that situation. And if you do, you're full of something. I didn't say that part, but that was the thought going on in the back of my head is, if this is a legit question, you guys need to figure out some new questions.
I do think that has happened several times there.
I'm sure it has, and I would figure it out, but am I going to have issues?
Or it might be, about the subject, but you were told last minute you're going to have to cover it.
Now that I could do, as long as I knew what I was talking about. Like if it's something I've been working on and they're like, oh, you're going to have to do something this afternoon. I'd be like, and then I'd have to throw something together real quick. But if I knew what I was talking about, at least I can throw some halfway made up slides up there and then people will have questions. Because I feel like that's the whole issue is as long as you can throw some stuff up there that makes people ask questions, then you can get the rest of your presentation out of the way by just answering people's questions, which is probably more informative than whatever you're going to ever put on a slide.
Right.
But yeah, if like they came in, they're like, okay, you have to do a presentation on Git. It's like, but I'm an accountant. I've never looked at this. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to do it this afternoon.
Yeah.
Or
Slides are made.
you got 45 minutes. Here's the slides. It's like, all right, well, I guess I'm reading the slides because I can't do anything else with this.
Read the slides, but mispronounce everything.
Yeah. Eat a bunch of Italian beef. It's what you get. I mean, I've had to do those kind of things. Not necessarily presentations with huge crowds, but like you get something done. They're like, we have to have we're having a phone conference with these people, and we think you know what you're talking about. So can you come onto this phone call? It's like, okay. Then,
yeah, I've done stuff like that.
The people, it's always funny is if you're that guy, every question that's being asked is usually something that sounds dumb to you. It's not dumb because they just don't know, but they'll be like, well, how does this process work? Does it go in after or before? And you're like, before. It's like, well, how do you know? Because I see it every day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, I can show you. You want me to share my screen? I can share my screen and show you real fast.
Yeah, I've had those before where, my last job where they'd ask an electrical question or the best part would be where somebody's learning about electronic components. And so it's like they're throwing the terms in there. It's like, that doesn't make any sense, what you just said. And so the other people that don't know any better, they're like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's great. And be like,
we're shifting paradigms, bro.
it's like, yeah, that didn't make any sense. That guy's full of himself.
He is full of feathers. Don't believe what he says. Yeah, that was... Yeah, I don't know. I don't like going... Actually, I don't like the speaking in things like that because generally, even if I do know what I'm talking about, it's a bunch of people who don't know what I'm talking about. So...
Oh, it was quite the opposite for me. This was... Everybody else has more experience than I do, and I'm trying to explain it to them.
Don't you love that?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when...
It's like, so, which, I was very thankful for the run through the day before because the mentors would have been like, yeah, that's not right. If it wasn't right, but everything seemed good.
That's like I get the things where corporate will send you a file that you have to fill in. And on the same email, they have another file which has all the information you have to copy over to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, if you have them both, why don't you copy it in there? It's like it's taking you 2 minutes to send this to me. It would take you 30 seconds to paste it in there. It's going to take me another minute or two to open it. And then it's going to take me 30 seconds to put it in there.
Yeah. And that's, depends on how long it's going to take for you to see it.
Yeah. And then it may not show up. Yeah. I always love that kind of stuff. Though sometimes I get it because they send it to you so you can look at it and make sure it's right. Because I'm an accountant. And it's usually sent by other accountants, but they're like, hey, I've got 30 other people that have to do this. I'm just going to send everyone their stuff. These are the answers. Make sure they're right. Then you paste it in there. It's generally what it ends up being, but some of that stuff it's not. It's like, okay, here's a bunch of numbers. Check if they're right. It's like, I've never seen any of this stuff before. Is it right?
Good
Your guess is as good as mine. And actually, when I first started doing stuff at work like that, I always tried to act like I knew what I was talking about. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I think it's right. I think it's right. I mean, don't quote me, but I think it's right. It looks right. I'm to the point now where I've been there long enough and people are asking a question. It's like, does this look right? I have no idea. I've never touched these numbers in my life. Well, why don't you touch them? Because the last time I touched them, I was told not to, so I stopped.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing I've learned as I've gotten older is don't sugarcoat stuff. Don't you can have, I guess, not like but you can have.
You can be tactful. You don't need to be rude and crude or just like in your face. Like if someone sucks, you don't need to be like, oh boy, you suck, man.
Yeah. So being tactful is one thing, but also don't. Like if somebody asks you if you know how something's working and you don't understand, just be honest. Be like, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
So how are you with this programming language? Never seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have never touched that before. I've never even heard of it.
Well, it's funny because that's changed with me because I've always been a passive person.
Yeah.
And so like old me, like the house could be on fire. And someone would call and be like, well, how's it going? Oh, pretty good, I guess. It's a little warm in here.
Yeah, I guess I still do that.
Now, Like someone will just be like, "Hey, can you look at this?" And my response will be, "No." I mean, there's nothing else to it. No. Why not? Well, I'm busy for the next 4 hours. You want me to look at it after that? Sure. Well, I need it in 2. Then no. And then hang up the phone.
Well, I don't think I've gotten to the point where I could do that yet. But then again, I'm not working on anything super important.
Well, and you're fairly new at that job too.
Yeah.
Give it 8 years, you'll be there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was there at Hydro Gear.
I mean, I'm sure you were there.
Place I worked at.
Yeah. Brad, edit that one out. Yeah, I'm trying not to do that stuff because after watching it, like, technically, if we said something that Hydro Gear didn't like, they could probably sue us in some manner, shape, or form for, gosh dang it.
Yeah, you just said it. Edit down.
Yeah.
Just cut this whole clip.
Just beep it. It'll sound funnier, Brad. When you go over this and you fix our podcast, just beep those. It's going to sound like we're swearing
I'm all for that.
instead of talking about Alex's previous place of employment. But yeah, when you're at your previous place of employment, like if someone had come up and said, "Hey, we need this machine running." You said, "Okay, I could fix this." And they said, "But we need it running like next 20 minutes or everyone's coming back from break. That needs to be done by then." And it's obviously going to take, like, you have to change out like an entire gearbox and a motor or something. And you're just like, no.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I would. Yeah, there were several. I remember one time I was doing strain gauging, which I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, I do. You told me about it one time.
Okay,
yeah.
So
I'm sure absolutely no one else listening to this will.
So yeah, there's these tiny little, they're actually flat resistors, and it's really neat. They measure, you can measure like torque and force, and it's actually what most of like your scales are made out of too, like digital scales. So it just measures the resistance changes in this very flat resistor. But yeah, it can take measurements off of that and do some cool calculations and get some values. Well, anyway, I was asked to do some very small, intricate strain gauges for this one project. And what this guy really liked to do is he'd be like, "Hey, we're having some pizza. Can you come over and, we'll feed you some pizza?" I'd be like, "Oh, okay." And then while he has you there, he'd be like, "Hey, well, I got you here. I got this project that I need done." It's like, "Okay, well, what is it?" He's like, "I need these strain gauges done." He's like, "How long is it going to take?" And I told him, "That's going to be at least 16 hours to do that job." And he goes, "Okay, well, what can we do to make it so that it won't be that long?" I was like, "No, there's a curing time process. And I also factor in messing up. So 16 hours. He's like, "No, what can we do to get this time down?" I was like, "No, that's it. I'm sorry."
Nothing. We can do nothing.
And yeah, he just was astounded that I couldn't make it any faster. It's like there are time constraints, and I'm not going to give you a more positive outlook than what I think is going to happen. So,
well, see, what I'm sure probably what got him so flustered is the average person, if they would have given him a time, if it would have been 16 hours, it'd been like 24 hours. How can we get this down? Well, we might be able to get it done 20 if we do this. Was there any other way? Well, we might be able to get it down to 18 if we did this. Like, I think a lot of people throw in they sandbag when they have time constraints, which is funny because I don't do that either. So then if someone's like, "Oh, you need to get all of this done. Can you get this done today?" I can get it done by tomorrow. Well, how can we get it done quicker? Hire another me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would come up with a time estimate and then I would stick with it because I've already rolled in messing up and fixing it in there. So, best case scenario, they get it ahead of time.
You get a couple hours earlier or something like that.
Worst case scenario, they get it on the time that I told them.
Yeah, and I think the reason that it shocks people is because even if people aren't good at it, everyone likes to think they're a haggler. Like, "Oh, I can't haggle if my life depended on it." Like, if I find a car that I like, I go in, I say, "I'm going to buy this car. It's the right price. I'll buy it." And like, if I go in, I'm looking at a car and it turns out it's more than I thought. And the guy's like, "Oh, this car's $12,000. It's like, I can't go over 8. I'm like, well, I could probably get it down to 10 if you can meet me in the middle. It's like, no, I can't meet you in the middle. I can meet you at 8.
Yeah, that's how I am.
It's like, we're driving a hard bargain. I could probably throw in, we'll put in a DVD player in that car for you. It's like, I can literally not do any better than 8. I came in and told you off the bat my max.
Yeah.
I'm not playing ball. I just can't do this.
Yeah, I don't know. Money's a tricky subject, I guess. But like with, I don't know, I've used sales as if you weren't already planning to buy it when it wasn't on sale, you're not saving money.
Right.
Because if you buy it and you weren't going to buy it before, you still spent money that you weren't expecting.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like we've talked about before, like a Steam sale.
Oh, yeah. Steam was horrible about that.
They throw all these crazy deals, and it's like, oh, man, I'm getting games for like $4 a pop. I got like 20 of them. It's like, you still spent $80 in a month on video games. It's like,
if you want to...
Yeah, but I got 40 games. It's like, are you going to play them all? Well, no, I'm never going to play any of them. Exactly.
If you ever want to feel a little depressed about how much money you've spent on there, you can go to steamdb.com. Did I ever show you that?
Mm-mm.
It's
Steam. I can't pull it up right now. It's
Steam database, and you can link it to your account, and it will estimate the average cost of the games that you have in your library. So it tells you, if like you can do like, I'm pretty sure you could do like what it was at full price, and so yeah, there's
to be fair, that one will probably make you depressed, but you really didn't spend that much because I don't think I ever bought. Other than a couple of new releases or a couple games that like friends had that I wanted to play online with, I don't think I paid full price for a single game on Steam. And it wasn't like, and most of them, it wasn't like, oh, it's 10% off. Most of them, it's like, this is 70% off this weekend.
Oh, yeah. I think Steam also ruined me with sales because it's like, Amber will be like, oh, I got this. It was on sale. I was like, oh, sweet. How much was it off? 15%. I'm like, that's not a sale.
So they gave you, so they paid the tax?
Yeah, but yeah, I was always used to Steam sales, which are, they can cut it because they're not losing, like they aren't producing anything. They're just copying.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think for me, so I'm still okay with the sales, but what it ruined me on is buying games that aren't on Steam. Because like you go to the store and you're like, man, this new game is awesome looking. It's like, oh, I'm going to buy it, I think. And then you look down, it's like, oh, it's $65. I'm not paying $65 for a video game.
Yeah. There was one time where I did get a better deal outside of Steam, which this might shock everybody. I found it at GameStop.
Wow.
Yeah. It was right after Fallout New Vegas had come out. And I'm pretty sure it was Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, yeah, you got a good sale.
And there was a sale, and then for whatever reason, there was a second sale on top of it at GameStop. So I got it for it was brand new still. It was like $30. So it was half price, where Steam didn't have a sale. I think they had a minor sale on it. So I actually bought it at GameStop and then, added the key to Steam and had it on Steam. So.
Well, then you have like the Borderland. They always had the best sales on that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like the game. I remember, was it Borderland 2 maybe? And it was like 6 weeks or something after they released the game. They put it on sale for like 90% off. It's like, is it not doing good or what?
It might have been that one. I only had the first one.
Yeah. Oh, the first one. The first one was the best one though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stuff that ruined me on buying games. It about kills me if I decide I want a game and it's new. You're like, I think I bought Red Dead was the last one I did that with, which is a good game. I have a hard time staying focused on those games because there's so much going on. And I think the Elder Scroll games have trained me not to just plow through the story and get all the little stuff on the side because you'll miss it otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that game, it just sidetracks you like crazy. And I ended up doing so many of the sidetracks, I just stopped playing. Did the same thing with that Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's a fun game, but
Yeah, I only played the first one, which it got pretty repetitive.
the first one or two, I forget. The only one I ever played other than this one was the first one, and I didn't like that game. Like, it was fun for the first couple hours,
Yeah.
and then after that, you're like, seriously, this is a game? Because it wasn't even like it's repetitive. Like, it's gonna be the same level. It's just gonna be a little harder.
Yeah,
It's
it
like-
was the exact task.
The only difference was the layout of the city.
Yep.
That's the only thing that changed.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful. But that one is, I have Jason, he's a big Assassin's Creed guy, and a guy at work. They're like, both of them are like super Assassin's Creed fans. And I guess among these super Assassin's Creed guys, it's well known that the first one was just awful. And they always recommend anyone that's not played them, just skip the first one, go straight to the second. Which I don't think the second was much better, but I'm guessing it must have been a little better, else it wouldn't.
Yeah.
This one was a lot of fun, but like I said, it had that same Elder Scrolls, Red Dead type thing going on, where there's just too much going on. I feel like Fallout has it about perfect on that stuff, because there's a lot going on, but at the same time, like, it just kind of happens as you go. It's not like you're going to have to go explore all, like Skyrim. Like,
yeah.
the actual storyline is like, what, 4 or 5 hours long tops?
Yeah, something like that. The actual storyline wasn't very long.
Everything else happens from just straight out dungeon crawling and exploring everything around it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like the Fallout games, you can do some of that if you want to and add to it, but you're going to get a big chunk of the side quest done just going from point A to point B for your mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Liberty Prime.
I really like the Fallout series.
Liberty Prime was my favorite. You remember that thing?
That was on Fallout 3, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Primary objective, kill all Chinese communists.
Yeah.
Death is a preferable alternative to communism.
Yeah.
It was great. It was just so like,
Which, if you get communism, that's what's going to happen anyway.
that's funny. It's just funny. That game was awesome. I went back and played New Vegas, or tried to play it not all that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get into it.
I like both. I think New Vegas was the last Fallout game I played. I haven't played 4 because it was New Vegas then 4, wasn't it?
Yes, because 4 is the newest one that isn't Fallout 76.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess not counting. I don't think that one's doing too well. That's an online one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like a server-based MMO. As
Yeah.
opposed to being instead of being like a World of Warcraft where everyone's in basically the same thing and you kind of seamlessly go between servers.
Mm-hmm.
This one works more like Wolfenstein or something like that, where you just log into a server and then there's other people, but your stuff stays persistent. I mean, at least on the console, I know you don't choose your server. It just kind of sticks you in one, but
Huh. Okay.
it's fun. I like it. It's just, so there was a ton of controversy on that game, like on its quality and how well it was done. And to be honest, had they put out no information on that game and they just released it, that game probably would have been like one of the top sellers. The problem was they kept throwing all these promises out of what they were going to do, and they didn't do any of them.
Oh.
So like there was one like E3 or something where they showed like on this giant screen like the game, and they're like, the graphics are going to be the best that's on any game that's existed thus far, and they like zoom in and you can see like grains of dirt on the ground. It's so like detailed. And I remember someone made a meme where they took that picture where they were zooming into the ground, and they went to the exact same spot in the game on theirs and zoomed in, and it just looked like a bunch of gray dots on a brown background.
Yeah, well.
And so like they overpromised everything hugely. And I think that's what killed it. Well, it's not dead. It's still around. But
Yeah, it's definitely got some bad.
well, and a lot of those Bethesda guys, like the guys that just love those type of games, all the Fallouts, all the Oblivions, they expected this fully MMO game. Basically, they expected to see a co-op version of like other Fallout games.
Oh.
It's not that. Like you can build a house. There's a persistent house. You can do quests. You can grind on dungeons. You can do a lot of things like that. But it's not a story-driven game. It is flat out an MMO. You're trying to get your guy better, so you can. And there's like missions and stuff, and there's better. Like there's zones that get more and more difficult, and so like the goal is kind of to get through the zones and get to the end. Because at the end, if you get to the last zone, it's kind of like a PvP area.
Oh.
And if you can beat everyone and take the zone, you get control of a nuclear bomb, and you can drop it anywhere you want on the map, and it kills it. Like it's funny because an alarm goes off, and then you look on your map, and there'll just be this big like target area, and you just got to run full throttle out of the area.
So if your house is there, you're screwed.
It'll blow. I think it blows your house up, but it doesn't destroy your stuff, so you can go back and replace it. But it's gone. I think if I remember right, I haven't played it since December.
Sounds interesting.
They always drop, like when I was playing, they would always drop it on the new player zone. So you're sitting out there just like fighting stuff, and all of a sudden you hear, and you're just like, oh crap. And like if you're in the center and it goes off, if you run full speed, you'll just barely make it out. Like you'll get to see the mushroom cloud and everything go green. So it's like, as soon as you hear it, you just have to stop what you're doing and run.
Oh, man.
But I found it to be very fun. And I think if you could have one or two other people with you to play it, that game would probably be one of my top favorites right now. But there's not much to it. You need someone else there to kind of help with the monotony.
Oh.
But it's an MMO. I mean, what do people expect? How much grinding is there in World of Warcraft or any other MMO that's ever existed?
I don't know. I never really got into the MMOs too much, so.
Not worth it. I did get back into City of Heroes for a little while on that.
The free server?
Yeah.
The one that was recreated?
It's still fun. It's just, I'm an adult now, and those games are time sinks.
Yeah.
I can either do a podcast, I can learn to play guitar, I can learn to play piano, I can mow my yard, or I can just play City Heroes.
Yeah.
Like there's no one paying my bills and mowing my yard for me. I have to do that crap. So
Yep. Yeah. It doesn't happen too often where I feel like I can just sit and play a game.
Yeah, and I feel like games for us are few and far between now.
Yeah.
Because there's no games where you can just go spend 30, 40 minutes when you have some free time and play. It's all like, oh, you have to play it and you have to wait till the next save point. That's going to be good 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be like a 60-hour game, and at 30-minute bites, it's going to take you for freaking ever.
Yeah, if you can even remember where you left off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's not been a month since the last time you played.
Yeah. That's my problem. Like, there'll be spurts where I'll have like several hours where it's like, wow, everything's done, everything is in order. I have like 4 or 5 hours where I could just play a game, but it's like it'll be months before I get this again. So,
well, and when you have that time, you're like, I could play a video game for 5 hours, or I don't know. I think whenever I start figuring out that you need to take care of yourself, type of deal, you need to spend time on you, give yourself some time, like some time to do the things you like to do.
Yeah.
I played a lot more video games because I thought that's what I like to do. And I realized that I like it, but I like it more as a time waster than necessarily as a hobby.
Yeah.
So like if I don't have anything else to do, I can't find anything else to do, video games is the way to go. Or if you just really need to veg out. Some days you just need to veg out.
Yeah.
Just turn off the old brain.
Yeah, sometimes you need that. It's a break.
Though I have been playing Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm enjoying that. It's got a really good story. So it's almost like an interactive book at that point with a little bit of strategy. But that I can get behind. But that's, oh, I just brain farted again. Who knows what I was getting ready to say?
That's what you were gonna say. Things about games and vegging out. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. What was I gonna? Oh, did you ever think of any more good country songs? Did you like that today?
Those are pretty good.
I think those country names were spot on.
Yeah.
Do you like the name for those country songs I came up with?
Yeah, they sounded legit.
Like if someone handed you that CD cover.
I would proceed to not listen to it.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't listen to it, but you'd be like, I bet this thing sounds awful. Or, I mean, like, you would not question that was not a real country album.
Oh, absolutely.
I was going to say, if you ever want to make up a country name, here's the secret. You take either a biblical first name usually, or what I was calling like the country girl version of what was it? Like basically you take one of those country people like halfway made up names, like the country girl made up names like for a guy. So like,
oh yeah,
like anyone that has these names, I'm sorry. I think
he's not sorry.
I'm not sorry in the fact that I feel like we went through a phase of like country and Western type folks coming up with some new names for their children, where you have like a Cain, and it's not spelled like Cain and Abel. It's like Kan, or it's like Kaine or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, or Hunter, or there's Gunner, or there's like, you get one of those like Midwest country person new names, or you get a biblical name, Eli, Elijah. I mean, it's got to be, it really should probably be more Old Testament Bible name. And then the last name just needs to be like a very Anglo white person last name. McAllister, King, Combs, Young. Young's a good one. I mean, you got all these, I try to think of some better ones too. I mean, basically, if it sounds Scottish, English, Irish, Welsh, even a little bit of German, or Dutch would work too. But it's got to be that. It can't be like Vanderhoven or something that's very Dutch. But there's a few of those.
No, they'd legally get their name changed before they came out with their album.
Yeah. Or you've got to have something that is very rural sounding. And it's got to be like either an event or like a place.
Back hick?
No, not back hick.
No, I'm saying that's what my in-laws call. Well, they're like, you're really back hick. I'm like, what is it? It's like a mixture between backwoods and, well, hick. Yeah, that's what they think this place is. Back hick country.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Can I bang my head on the mic?
Like, okay, whatever.
Oh, yeah, if we all run around with our shoes off and say dadgum a whole lot. Dadgum.
Yeah.
But no, like Big River anything. Like name it after a river, name it after like the one I had, which is the County Fair Whiskey Revival. 100% sounds like one.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that it isn't one. Have you Googled it?
I have not yet. I'm going to have to look it up. But like add revival into anything.
Yeah.
At the end. It shows that. Especially, what's fun is when they add it into the
Whiskey Enema Revival.
Maybe going on a limb there.
Oh. Little stretch.
But I feel like once you start I sent those names to the guy that consolidates for us at corporate. And so like the analyst accountant, our whole job is typically looking at things and trying to see the pattern. And if you're a person whose job is to look out for patterns, like that pattern becomes obvious real quick. I was like, you should use your accountant pattern skills and make your own up. You didn't though.
What a loser.
Last name. Another good last name, Church.
Yeah.
I feel like even if your last name's not Church, they'll use it because it makes it seem like you're a little more Midwest Christian, a little more Midwest Protestant usually. Yeah. And then your songs have to be about a girl, about fishing. I haven't heard many about farming. I feel like there's not as many about farming as there should be considering the target demographic, but
yeah, they might mention a tractor, but there's not really much about farming.
They'll talk about the implements, maybe like a tractor, but they're not going to talk about anything else. These guys could just be a guy that just has like 2 acres right outside of town and just happens to drive his tractor around drunk all the time. But
what about hunting? I don't really listen to country a whole lot. So.
I don't think they do a lot of hunting, but I also think that that's kind of like they might say, it's kind of like the tractor.
So they
might mention something about it, but with the hunting, I think they want to make sure that they don't get.
So there's no songs about them tracking some whitetail down.
I mean, I'm surprised there's not, but yeah. Viscerally pulling out the visage. And, yeah. Drinking. You got to mention beer, tequila, whiskey, and at least one song on your album.
Yeah.
And then you also have to have a song on your album that is about God, Jesus, or praying, which is funny because there's one song that was having a beer with Jesus, which gets both of those boxes checked at one time.
Is that a real song?
That is 100% a real song. I'll pull it up for you when we're done.
I mean, I guess what would be the difference between that and having a glass of wine with Jesus? So.
Smoking crack with Jesus.
Okay. Now you're crossing a line.
Oh, yeah. It's just funny how it's so. Brad and I were having this discussion. I think we may have had it on here at one point too, but we had this discussion a few times in the car. Is like old country. It was a little twangier, and sometimes it was a little harder to listen to. But compared to new country, that stuff was just 100% gold. Because every one of those people, like you hear Dolly Parton, you know it's Dolly Parton. You hear Johnny Cash, you know it's Johnny Cash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Loretta Lynn, you had all those people. And like, if you don't know them, you wouldn't catch them then, but you'd know they were a different person. You could tell that they had a different style. But
yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like the Nickelback and all those bands that sounded the same. It's funny because I've seen a lot of people giving love back to Nickelback again, which don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan. I don't care. I don't care if I was a fan, I'd say I was, but I'm not really a fan.
You like Smash Mouth?
Yeah, I do like Smash Mouth, but like people have been saying stuff like, they give them too much crap. They have Emmys, or not Emmys. They have Grammys. They've won awards and they've sold tons and tons and tons of albums. And it's like, that's true. And that, they do decent. It's the problem is there's about 15 other bands that got popular that sound almost identical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Put Them, Creed, Stone Temple Pilots. I can think of a few more. You can put them all together. If you put them right next to each other, you can tell. If you wait a day between each one and you didn't know the songs, you would have a hard time telling right off the bat.
Yeah, I could see that.
Though I think Stone Temple Pilots did it they were the ones that did the best. They were the first ones, though. They started that sound they were popular with that sound in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And Nickelback, I think, was still doing stuff at that point, but.
Yeah, I think they'd been a band, but then they finally got their one popular song.
Look at this graph. Oh.
I'm
going to find that real fast, but.
Wait, did you say graph?
Yeah. Oh, no. Gosh, dang it. So these screens are messing up, so let's see if
they are.
Hey, would you pull that thing over here for me?
Oh, hey, it's backwards.
Well, it happens when it's upside down.
There you go. You see it?
No, I mean drag the screen, the Google thing over here.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That's obvious.
I'm gonna start clicking on this other stuff over here.
Start doing that. Hey.
Well, how am I supposed to do stuff at the same time you are?
Okay, here we go.
That wasn't it.
YouTube has to have an ad every like 30 seconds anymore.
Of course they do. Yeah, I remember hearing that. It's pretty.
Look at this math.
What?
Math?
Oh, math. Okay, this is the one I wanted. I clicked the wrong one. Oh, man. Well, we hit 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think after this, we can call her quits for the night. Call her quits so I can... Here you go.
Look at this graph.
In the face.
I love that. I knew what was coming, but I still loved it.
Here's one for you. You can't see it?
Oh, I remember this. These are the shreds, aren't they?
Creed shreds.
Yeah.
They showed these. I saw a video where they showed these to the lead singer of Creed.
Oh.
He thought they were hilarious.
Well, that's good. So he's got a sense of humor.
Joseph. Oh, these are fantastic. I love the drums. Oh, if you have never seen these videos, go look up Creed shreds. They're all good. 2's my favorite, but man, they're all good. What was this one? Oh gosh.
It's another ad.
Yep. About every minute.
You could buy premium.
Fingers and toes. This is Wheel of Fortune.
Kareem, miners and hoes.
Starts now.
People.
A group of pill pushers?
This is Wheel of Fortune, Joe! Event is our category. It's worth
An act of kindness.
Greg, an ace of kidneys.
How long have you known George here?
7 years.
Yeah, now you are signing, I notice, and what does that tell us?
That means he's deaf.
An ugly child?
You are a school counselor.
This term for a long-handled gardening tool can also mean an immoral pleasure seeker. Ken.
What's a hoe?
No. Whoa! Whoa!
I remember that guy, he won a bunch of
They
Jeopardy.
teach you that in school in Utah, huh?
Ken.
What's a rake? A rake
Because
is
he
right.
did that on purpose.
Hedda Tessman,
If
Helen
you noticed
Alding,
how,
Newt
I
Brubbeck.
don't know if you,
Who are three
yeah,
people
he
who've
had
never
like
been in my
14,000 saved up,
Yeah.
and everybody else was
Any
negative.
living animal or plant, including bacteria and viruses. Orgasm.
What? Oh, is any living thing. He meant to say organism.
There are reasons which I won't go into that I can't accept that particular.
Players, tell me what type of vehicles are used to compete in the legendary Tour de France? Alan again.
SUVs. Name a specific
What the
part
heck
of
is
the body
this?
that women try to accentuate. Saber. Breasts.
What the heck is this show?
Name a part of the body that gets bigger as adults get older. Freddie. Penis.
Oh, Louis Anderson. All right. Well, I think we're good enough for tonight. We'll leave on that note. If I can figure out how to turn this thing off. All right. Well, anyone who listened, thank you for listening. We very much appreciate that.
Thanks for coming by.
And then hopefully we'll see you next week. Well, I guess we won't see any of you next week. Hopefully next week you will listen to us.
That one.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
When you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. When you're on the pot, give it all you got. On your on, you're hot. On your on, you're not. On your on, hot, give it all you got. It stings when I pee. It burns when I poop. When I push real hard, things don't go that well. It stings when I pee, and it burns when I poo. When I push real hard, things don't go that well.
Well, that didn't stop it.
Can you